So I'll go ahead and share something that I am grateful for. I am grateful for our BBL team. Whenever we need folks to step up and do something more, they are always ready and willing and able to. And so for this week, which has been a crazy week for me, I am so grateful for my team. I see that Kat says health and family time. Jesse, grateful for it not raining today? Definitely. The rain has been too much. So we got Jackson Middle department colleagues. That's great.
Prairie Lincoln and Darby Woods. Galloway Ridge, Norton.
I love seeing the schools.
Finland.
Thankful to go outside. Yes, yes.
Welcome, Matt from Communities and Schools. Nice to have you. Jackson Middle.
Jackson Middle. Shannon says, grateful that my students continue to work hard. Yes, through this distance learning. Yes, definitely.
Thankful for our pets, right? Yeah. So Samantha, I'm also thankful for my house.
So let's just keep it going. You can keep sharing through the chat. I don't know how many people are new to doing Zoom meetings, but do want to show that. So this is our virtual engagement. And you have a command center, and it's either, for most of us, it's at the bottom of our screens. For some, it might be at the top. But at the bottom, when we invite you to unmute, you can unmute and share with us. It's great if you have your video on while we're presenting, but if for whatever reason you need to turn it off, you do have the ability to stop video by just clicking on that. There's the chat feature, that icon there that you guys are already availing yourself to. And then there's also this thing for reactions, which if we say something and it resonates with you, you can give us a thumbs up, you can give a hand clap if you choose to do that. So with all of that, let's go ahead and get started.
So this is the agenda for the day. We're going to take some time at the beginning to just learn a little bit about stress and reflect on our needs, how we're doing right now. We're going to think about planning for the future, how we're going to build connections with students and families, and then we're going to have some time for sharing ideas and solutions. So the first part is going to be about us. How are we going to take care of ourselves over the summer so that when we head into the school year, we're ready to go and we have our reserves built up for the year. And then the second part, we're going to focus on our students and our families and how we want them to feel when they come back to school in the fall. So we're going to start here in part 1.
All right, so let's talk about stress. We all have brains, and they all experience stress. And stress can either lead to resilience or it can lead to vulnerability. When stress is predictable, moderate, and controlled, we become resilient. But when stress is unpredictable, prolonged, and severe, we become vulnerable to the many negative effects on our bodies. So you have all been through a lot. On top of the everyday stress associated with this pandemic, you have had the additional stress of being an educator and having to make a drastic change to how you teach during this time. So let's talk about what you need to look out for. Stress becomes toxic when it's overwhelming, uncontrolled, and we're not able to recover from it. The brain and the body become exhausted from maintaining the heightened level of vigilance associated with living in survival mode. And in addition to the physical exhaustion, we start to feel emotionally drained. As we all continue through this pandemic, we should expect to feel fatigued. You're not going to be able to work as much as you did before in your workday. And I don't know about you, but it feels like working from home has been more draining than actually being in the buildings. Um, you also may notice that for your students, they're not going to be able to learn as quickly and as efficiently as they had before. Ultimately, what we want to get across today is that this current situation has created the perfect recipe for burnout, for vulnerability, and even for secondary traumatic stress. But we have the ability to turn the page and start a new recipe that pushes us towards resilience. So, as you end this school year, let's start to think ahead to August. And I think that it's going to be critical for you to increase your competence in caring for yourself as you do this difficult work. It's going to be very important for all of us to be gentle with ourselves and each other and to proactively decrease our workloads in anticipation of the exhaustion that we'll feel. So with all of that in mind, I'm going to ask you just to take a couple of minutes just to think about how you're going to recharge yourself once the school year is over. And also, I want you to think about how you can intentionally care for yourself when the school year starts back up in the fall. So let's take 2 minutes. I'm going to set a timer. Let's take 2 minutes and let's think about your responses to those two questions.
If you have pencil and paper nearby and you want to write things down, you can. You can also just turn off your camera and close your eyes for a couple minutes and think about this. But just do what you need to do to have a quiet space of reflection for yourself. Oops. We're going to bring you back in about 30 more seconds. Okay, so go ahead and come on back. If you turned off your camera and you're willing to come turn it back on and see us again, we'd love that. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so we can all see each other. And I want you to either share in the chat, how are you planning to recharge over the summer if you're feeling able to share, or you can even unmute your microphone and go ahead and just share out with the group as you feel inspired to do so. Oh, look, there's so many of you. Hi, everyone.
All right,
Put
so
all the work away. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Kat.
Shane says woodworking and yard work. I love the woodworking. Love the woodworking. I recently built a planter box. I think I'm going to be building more things over the summer. It helps me.
Staying on that regular sleep schedule. Yeah, that's so important, right? It's easy to kind of let those things go in the summer, but making sure we're still getting enough sleep.
Jen, painting, running, writing. I'm with you with the painting and the writing.
Samantha
Running,
likes
I'm
to
a
lay in the
walk.
sun. I like the laying in the sun idea. Hopefully the sun will grace us with its presence again soon.
I like Kat of putting away the to-do list for a while. That's a good idea, Kat.
Hannah,
Yeah,
I love to sew. I'm going to sew this summer also.
Joanna does some amazing sewing. So let's just everybody that knows what Joanna sews, like give a head nod. Like she can sew. She is really good.
I like this Teresa's comment about keeping that balance of unplugging work at a particular time of day. And Teresa, I don't know what your role is, but like for us, we work in the summer. So yeah, that maintaining that balance. And if you're a teacher, I was a teacher for many years, and I know that temptation, you're going to start to lesson plan in July, and maybe even the anxiety of the unknown might cause you to start working even sooner, you know, making sure you keep that balance. Even you teachers that are, you know, home without kids at home, can be easy to just work your life away. Don't do that.
And Teresa is actually a principal. She's the principal at Eakin.
No rest.
Yeah, even
no rest,
more
right,
need for the
Teresa?
balance.
You need to find rest too.
Spending time outside, riding bikes.
That sunshine is so important, right? Okay, well, thank you guys so much for sharing those things. Feel free to keep sharing them in the chat if you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen here. Give me 1 sec to get us back where we need to be. Okay. All right, so that takes us to our next part. So we've spent some time thinking about ourselves. You have some thoughts on what you're going to do to take care of yourself. Don't lose those thoughts, right? Don't just say them to us. That's a commitment you make to yourself, right, for this summer and heading into the fall. And at the end of the presentation, we actually have a little self-care plan resource that we can also put in the chat box that you guys can use if you want to actually write that plan out as more of a commitment that you make. We're going to go ahead and shift our focus, and we're going to start thinking about our students and how we want our students and families to feel on the return to school in the fall.
All right. So what we think is important for you to be aware of is how you and your students may be responding to the stress that you're feeling and that they're feeling. So let's just take a moment to review an important concept that many of you have already learned during our NME training. In our training, we talk about state-dependent functioning, which is a phrase that's coined by Dr. Bruce Perry. And what it basically means is that how we function or behave is dependent upon the state of stress we are in. So we're all going through the significant trauma at this time. It's an event-based trauma. But what we must understand is that we're not all having the same experience or outcome. For some people, this event is just an inconvenient interruption to their lifestyle. But for others, this trauma, the trauma of this experience is more pronounced. And so for some students and for families and for some of us, you know, we've lost loved ones during this time. We've had people that we know that have been infected. They themselves may have been infected with the virus. And also that the new normal requires repeated exposure to the virus for people who are having to work, who are essential workers during this time. So for students who were already struggling with issues of abuse, homelessness, or poverty, the loss of routine and the safety of school has meant increased exposure and a compounding of the traumatic experiences. Overwhelmingly, this burden has fallen on the historically marginalized in society as well. So people of color, people of lower socioeconomic status. So with all of that in mind, let's look at this graphic. And it shows that when we're in a calm and alert state, we have access to our smartest part of our brains, which is the cortex. We're able to reflect. We're able to plan for the future. We're able to think abstractly. In this state, we are all regulated and our significant needs are met and our environment feels safe and predictable, which are words that you always hear us say. Threat and fear have a major impact on how our brains function. And when our environment becomes unpredictable and feels unsafe, stress hormones flood the body and the brain shifts down into the alarm state. And then as even more stress comes in, the brain can easily shift down into the fear state. So it's important to note that the more threatened a person becomes or feels, the less access they have to their cortex. And sometimes threat is not even an actual threat. It can actually be just a threat that they perceived, and that's based off of what their templates have, what templates have already been formed for them, maybe even years ago. So that's just something to keep in mind, that threat doesn't actually have to be real. It can just be perceived. When we think about that alarm state, if you recall that the alarm state, that's the limbic system is in charge. So our behaviors are emotional and they're sometimes irrational. We become more resistant to change or suggestions. And some of us may actually dissociate and become, it actually looks like we're being more compliant, but we're really checked out. In this state, it's easy to overreact to situations. And I'm sure when you were in the buildings with students, you saw this, and you probably see it with each other or with loved ones in your homes. When we think about the fear state, so shifting down even further, this is your fight, flight, or freeze mode. This is where the midbrain, or what we call the toddler brain, is now in charge. And you're not thinking about the things that you're doing. Your students aren't thinking about what they're doing. They're just simply reacting. And reacting in this state can look more physical. And so that could be you're kicking, screaming, you're running. And also, it can be a complete shutdown to where they're not responding to anything that you're saying. So in our trainings, you may recall that we have talked about how to move back up into the calm state or move up to the different states in the brain. Requires safety. It requires predictability. It can require the removal of the distress. It can, for some, require some intense somatosensory activity. And it also can include some salty, fatty, crunchy, sweet foods I've been overindulging in during this time. And then also activities that align with your value system. So when I had shared earlier about building the planters outside, that's something that I do to kind of, when I'm feeling I'm kind of in an alarm state a lot, when I need to shift back up to my calmer and a more alert state, going out doing things helps me to calm down. So those are just some things that, we think that it's imperative as you continue to move towards the fall to just remember the state that depending on what's happening and how you're responding to stress, throws your brain into different states. So you're going from your calm, higher part of your brain, sometimes down to the lower parts of your brain, which are highly reactionary. So that's just something
Hey, Tamara,
I'm seeing a lot of yeses in the chat, so.
Hey, Tamara, I know when we were training yesterday, we had some challenges with the sound there. It's kind of garbly again. You got got your Darth Vader Star Wars voice going on again. So you never know when that'll sneak up on you, but that's all right. But yeah, I think, these concepts of this state dependent functioning, it's funny, no matter how many times I've talked about it and shared it with people, I always have to remind myself. And it's amazing how easily I can slip into that alarm and fear state. And I kind of don't even realize it until my behaviors get so kind of reactive and really kind of like, just not very thinking based and not very logical. And the other thing that I think that we're facing with this COVID situation, and I would love to hear from folks, when we start in breakout groups and such, is, we have teachers who are in alarm state, we have students and families in alarm state, and then really the whole school system is in alarm state, and we kind of start to feed off of each other. And so when we have that really threatening and alarming situation, we all have to be so much more intentional starting our meetings, starting our conversations, including reminders for self-regulation, including predictability, because everything around us is pushing us into that alarm and fear state right now.
Thanks, Jesse.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. So I just switched over to something else. My husband built me this amazing workstation this week in preparation for trainings, but I think it's not going as well as what we thought.
I mean, Darth Vader voice
better?
is really pretty scary, but we can just hear you and understand you better when you're yourself.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is good now, Tamara.
Is it? Okay. So I apologize for that.
So another piece of the brain science that's applicable right now that really has to do with this state-dependent functioning is the sequence of engagement. And those of you who have worked with our coaches in your schools, we talked a lot about regulation and the 6 R's of regulation. And so I'm sure some of those things were coming to mind while Tamara was speaking. The strategies that you already use in your classrooms, or if you're like me at home with your own children, to keep everybody regulated, including yourself, right? So the most important thing to remember about the sequence of engagement is that when we're dysregulated, we do not have access to our cortex. So we can't start with reasoning. We can't go into the conversation and say, I thought I told you, you already know how to do this. This is what I tell my 5-year-old. Why are you still not in your pajamas? I know that you know how to do this, right? But when he is dysregulated, he has lost access to that thinking part of his brain, and he's not thinking, oh, if I take too long to put my pajamas on, mom's gonna be frustrated. He's just like having a fit. So if I can start engaging at that low brain level and start with that regulation, if I can find a way to introduce some rhythm to keep him calm, get him relaxed, right? And then I can play some music that he likes, or, one day when he was having a temper tantrum, I just put my hands on the edge of the bed and I rocked back and forth, made this swishing sound. And then as that rhythm happened, he started to calm down, his breath started to slow down, right? And then I can go for that relationship. I can remind him, like I do with students, right? I'm here for you. You don't have to talk to me yet, but I'm here. I'm sitting beside a student in the hallway, right? Giving them that space that they need, but I'm sitting parallel to them. Once they're calm and they feel safe in their relationship, then we can go for that reason piece. Then we can talk about choices. We can make a plan for the future. How do we not end up in this situation again, right? But we don't want to start at those high brain functioning things, trying to make a plan, trying to find out what happened. Why did you do that, right? Because at that point, when we're dysregulated, we don't have access to our brain in the same way that we do once we're calm. So you can never go wrong starting with regulation, but you can often go wrong when you start with reason. And as adults, we have more default regulation, so we can go to that reason place quicker. And with kids, we need to give them more space and time. And we're really teaching them skills when we do that. We're showing them how to regulate. We're modeling that and doing that with them. And that's going to give them more access to their cortex moving forward. Okay, any questions or thoughts about that before we do some application? can either unmute yourself and ask or throw them in the chat. Okay, if things come up as we move forward, feel free to jump in, okay? My slides are on like a little bit of a delay, and so I keep advancing them and then they advance double. Yes, you're so right. Gray, I'm not sure if that's your first name or your last name, but it is that.
Sorry, I thought it was just our school. I didn't realize it was everybody's. So I just put my last
No, you're
name.
good. Do you want to tell us more about that? Can you speak to that a little bit more?
Well, I'm just thinking for myself, like if I'm ever around adults, like I am a problem solver. So like I almost need an adult to remind me, like we shouldn't be solving their problems right now, Gray. Like stop. Like do you get what I'm saying? Like I think our instinct is always to find out what's going on. And like that just resonated in me like, holy snaps. I know Jesse said it, but like I gotta keep hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. Cause I think I'm not even a man, but I know a man's job is always like they try to solve our problems and we just want them to let us listen. Like just listen to us. But I think, am I wrong, friends? Like
You're not wrong.
Is that what we usually just?
You are not wrong. So here's what I think that is helpful. And it's definitely, I think it's an example that I've heard Jessie give and Carol when she does the training. And it's so true. Think about your worst day. And when you come home and you're talking to someone, you pick up that phone, you call a friend, or you're talking to a spouse or partner or whatever. If they immediately jump to, well, you could have just done such and such, or maybe next time you should do X, Y, and Z, you don't want to hear it. You're like, no, I just want you to listen to me. I just want you to be present. I just want you to hear what I'm saying, or just let's walk and let's not say a word, just listen. I think if you can remember that, it helps you to remember in those situations that that's what that student needs.
Right.
Yeah, and Jen is saying this in the chat too, but I think in the school setting especially, we're real focused on like, let's get back to the learning, let's get ourselves together so that we can get on to the next thing we have to do, because that's that pace of school that demands that of us, right? And so this idea of giving kids time and space is pretty countercultural to how school is set up. And so as you try to engage that and do that and create that space, you will find that challenge, right? So we don't want to downplay how challenging that is to achieve in school. We totally understand that too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna get ready to do a little more interacting. So I want you to think about heading back to school in the fall. We're all going to be pretty tired probably. This pandemic thing is not going away. So we're still going to be living with this stress that we have, right? And there's a lot of unknowns heading into next school year. We may be dealing with school in a format and a way that we've never experienced before. That will be stressful for us as the educators and staff people in the room. It will also be stressful for our students and our families. So I want you to consider how you want students to feel in your classroom and school community in the fall, okay? So this quote from Maya Angelou, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up another window that's gonna show you this Menti. It's gonna make a word cloud. Tamara is gonna drop a link in the chat and just click on the link. And then it's going to give you the opportunity to input some words to describe how you want students to feel in your classroom. And then as you put those words in the box, we are going to see them populate in our little word cloud here. Okay. I'm going to find us our word cloud. It's taking me a second, but.
You might be able just to click the link now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, there they are. Look at those words.
Yay!
All right. Thank you guys for putting in your words. Continue doing that if you haven't yet.
Yeah, safe, valued, supported,
The
connected.
coolest thing about this is how every time it moves, safe stays really big right in the middle, right? This is this priority that's very important to us right now, that sense of safety. Okay. All right. So if you haven't had a chance to put your words in, keep going. I'm going to take a screenshot of this so we have it, and then we can include it in our email that we send after the fact with all of the things that we need here. Okay. And then I'm going to go back here into our presentation. So now we've had a chance to think about how we want students to feel in our classrooms and our school communities. And I want us to think now about what priorities do we need to have in order to create that safety, that sense of being valued, that connectedness. What priorities will we need to have as teachers, as principals, as people in the school community? And how are we going to show that to our students and to our families? In her book Onward, Elena Aguilar says, community can be built every day in every interaction with another person. When you listen, bridge differences, and embrace healthy conflict. Know what kind of community you want to be a part of and to create, and then move to build it. So maybe your priority is going to be improving student and family engagement. Maybe it's going to be cultivating a sense of safety and predictability for your students. Maybe it's focusing on belonging. Maybe you're really interested in getting comfortable with tech tools so that you can reach out if we have to do some kind of hybrid virtual school situation. Maybe your focus is on your fellow staff members and you just really want them to be connected. Okay? However you want students and families to feel in your class and school community, I want you to choose a priority that aligns with this type of community you want to create. Okay, so how would you fill in that blank? You can write it down on a piece of paper or you can just hold it in your mind, but don't forget it, okay? I lost my place in my notes.
You're right, Joanna.
All right, so what we're gonna do next is we're going to head into our breakout rooms and you're gonna discuss this priority, okay? So when you get into your breakout room, which you'll be invited to in a moment, you're gonna take time to introduce yourself, share your name, your school, what your role is in that space, and then share that priority, okay? And then the best part of this discussion is gonna be you guys using each other as resources to come up with some strategies to make that priority a reality. So you all are the experts. You are in schools every day. You know the communities that you work in better than anyone. So what problem solving can you do with this unique team of school professionals that you're with right now to come up with some ideas that will give you some entrance, some place to go this summer in your thinking and your creativity and your planning, so that when you come back in the fall, you feel like you're really ready to hit the ground running.
All right. And give me just one more minute and we'll open up the breakout rooms.
Okay.
And just for a little predictability, we'll be in the breakout rooms for probably about 10 to 12 minutes. All right, here we go. So you should have received an invitation. Please click to join the breakout room. I see some people are already joining. So yes, there's a little blue prompt to have you join. So go ahead and join there. All right, I'm going to pause. Remember. All right, so we are back to recording, and we have folks coming back from the breakout sessions.
Looks like most people are back.
I want to thank my room. We got cut off. We were having a great conversation. But thank you. Great to meet everyone. And I'm sure we'll continue to get some dialogue going here and some important stuff.
Let's see, I think we have everybody back now.
Yes, Steph, I want to thank my room as well. We were talking and then we got cut off kind of abruptly, but it was great to talk with everybody.
I'm glad you guys were able to have some good and meaningful conversation. So welcome back to our main session. We would like for you to take time now to kind of share out some of the things that you discussed during your breakout session. So feel free to unmute. If you don't want to share out loud, you can put it in the chat. But so what were your priorities and what were some of the strategies and resources that you shared?
Breakout room 2 said that our biggest concern was safety, making sure that students felt that they were cared for, felt that they were taken care of with their health, that we were really concerned about their health, that their families are taken care of. And so we kind of talked about the routines that we create at school to make sure that our students feel that safety and that comfort. And we talked about kind of how can we start the year with that, especially if we are still kind of in a either online or kind of semi-hybrid, whatever they've talked about so far with schools, and how we can create that kind of same routine and that same consistency at home. And so we talked a little bit about creating some orientation for parents and getting parents comfortable with the online schooling, maybe having them log on to some of the things that their students will be using at home, maybe allowing parents to kind of check out all of that kind of stuff, helping parents to create some of those routines, what a typical day might look like, something like that, so that they feel that the whole family is involved and that everyone is taken care of.
That's good. That's good. Kathleen shared that stress about feeling prepared for the fall with all the unknowns and deciding to plan as if we will be 100% online. So any time together will be a bonus. That's a good strategy. That's a good strategy. What else?
Hannah says room 3 talked about how predictability and organization to support our students so they feel comfortable and are able to focus on what we need them to learn. Yeah, I think teaching those skills and thinking about how to do some skill building for kids on being organized and managing their time when they're home and stuff, that's really tricky, but a super needed skill in this new environment that we find ourselves in. That self-direction they've needed like they've never needed it before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Lily in our room, her family's from China, so she's had a little bit of experience with this, which is great to hear her input. But in our room, we were a lot of elementary school teachers, so there's a lot of uncertainty about, are we going back? What does that look like? Mm-hmm. Lily was sharing, are we going to put dots on the floor and everybody needs masks, and just the simple things that we need to put in place for elementary students. And then she mentioned one thing that I thought was really great, which she was talking about, there are some benefits to this digital learning in the sense of like, instead of having to get 25 sets of a science experiment together, she can do the science experiment on her screen with minimum thing, so there are some benefits of, we don't have to get all of these extra things ready that we normally would have. But definitely some challenges in our room, just thinking about, pre-K, are they going back, are they not, and things like that. But great input from our room.
That's good. So room 7 talked about forming relationships with new kids. Definitely. I think that's something our coaches are going to be working on and helping to coach on, is how to make transitions, how kids will transition to the next grade level, to the next school, and the importance of that safety, that predictability, and building relationships. So that will be coming from our coaches.
We talked about us all being type A personalities and being planners, and for us, you know, for our brains, like everybody else, we want to know, we want to have some sense of predictability. What is coming down? What is the plan? And how that, other rooms have talked about how that is still unsettling. And when will we have a chance to start to get an idea of what that is, so that we can begin to regulate and get ourselves ready for the fall?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and different schools having such unique challenges. Teresa, I know what in your comment here talking about refugee families and kids who have responsibilities at home, and some kids are, you know, babysitting or taking care of younger siblings or working at the family business at home, and figuring out how to help those kids advocate so that they have time for their own study and their work. That's super insightful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen. Okay, so hopefully you can.
And, you know, thank you for sharing out. And if there's other things that you want to share with the group, please feel free to continue to put that in the chat.
All right. Tamara, do you want to review what we've done today?
Yeah, let's review. All right, so what we have done today and how we plan to keep moving forward. One, we talked about self, the importance of self-care, and I am going to drop in the chat a self-care plan. Some of you who have had our PD on self-care, it was in the winter, already have a copy of this plan, but it is definitely something that should be dusted off and revisited. So here is a copy of that, and we'll also send this out in a follow-up email if you can't click on the link. But, you know, just the importance of having a plan. Being intentional about self-care is going to be critical to you all. And so here is a template that you can use and put some intentionality around your self-care plan. We shared solutions and our priorities. And so I think a wonderful way that we'll put a link to a Padlet if you all would like to capture those and we can share it out with each other. We can do that afterwards. And so that way we can just keep the momentum going. And then we have this wonderful ability to stay connected. And one thing that our BBL team is going to launch is our BBL Education Slack channel. And so we will invite all of you to join that. And Joanna is going to give us some more information about that before we end today.
All right, so we are coming close on time, so I just want to acknowledge that. And so if you have to jump off, that is totally fine. But we are going to finish with a couple of things. First, we just want to say thank you to all of you for the incredible year that you've had. And we're going to show a quick video expressing our thanks. And then after the video, there's going to be a little bit of a discussion about Slack and an opportunity for you to give feedback to us and a feedback link. If you have to leave, those things will be sent over email, so don't feel like you're gonna miss them if you don't see them now. That's totally fine. But before you go, just want to show you this video here. Let me see. Maybe. Oh, technology. Can you see the video?
Hi, this is Tamara Walls, Building Better Lives team manager, and I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for welcoming us into your schools, into your classrooms, and into your meetings. We would not be able to do our work if it was not for great partners like you all. So thank you again for welcoming us, for embracing the work that we do, and working to empower and change the lives of children.
Hey teachers, from one parent who is working on all of this distance learning at home, and from one of your students, we just want to say thank you. We recognize and appreciate all the hard work you put in this year. It's been incredible, and we value you so much. It's been amazing. We look forward to continuing to work together as we move forward facing this together. Thanks.
Hello, wonderful, incredible, amazing teachers. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for being beacons of hope and predictability for all of your students through this time. Thank you for all the ways you've had to stretch yourself and all the extra hours you have spent learning new skills and new tools. I want to say for those teachers who are grieving this goodbyes that they don't get to have, I want to say I see you, I hear you, I appreciate everything that you have done. Thank you so much. Go rest and rejuvenate and enjoy your summer so that we can enjoy your creativity and your light next year. Have a great summer.
Hi, I just want to give a huge shout out to the Westerville South High School staff. You pulled together and you pulled through, and now it's summertime. So I hope that you have an amazing summer, that you have time to decompress and kind of shake off this last school year. It was a hard one. But anyways, if you need anything over the summer, I'm available. And otherwise, I'll see you in the fall. Go Cats.
Hey everybody, this is Lawrence Connor, Service Coordinator at Galloway Ridge and Pleasant View Middle. I just wanted to say thank you to all of the teachers and the staff that we had the pleasure to work with this year. And in light of everything that's going on, thank you so much for creating a supportive community for our students and for our families. God bless you and have a great summer.
Hi there, I'm Stephanie Linder. I'm the coach at Galloway Ridge Intermediate, and I just wanted to give a big shout out to all the staff at GRI and throughout the district and say thank you for all that you've been doing. And I know in these last couple of months it's been hard, so big thank you. I want to thank you as well for welcoming me into your community. I've really enjoyed working with you this year. I look forward to working with you again in the fall. I want to wish you guys a great summer. Take care of yourselves, relax, reach out if you wish. And again, I look forward to seeing you in the fall, and thanks again for all that you do.
Hi, I'm Crystal, BBL coach for Norton Middle and more recently Finland. I want to thank the staff for welcoming me into your building, but I also want to more specifically thank the teachers for allowing me into your classrooms to witness the magic and the connection that you guys make with the students on a daily basis. And if I could offer one last suggestion, I would offer this. Don't forget to sit back and regulate by listening to some music, relate with your friends for one reason only. Celebration that it is the end of the year and you made it. Congratulations on a job well done.
Good morning, Pleasant View. I'd like to take this time to thank Brett and Betsy, the whole entire Pleasant View staff. It's been an amazing 2019-2020 school year. I appreciate supporting you all and working beside you all. I hope you have a great summer, and please remember to stay regulated.
Hello, I'm Laura Barch, the coach at Alton Hall, Brook Park, Darby Woods, and Holt Crossing. As we wrap up this unprecedented school year, I want to appreciate all of your efforts in finding new and creative ways to teach and connect with students. I hope you take some well-deserved time to rest and recharge over the summer, but also know that we'll be here.
Thank you, Norton. Thank you, Westland, for allowing Building Better Lives to be a part of what you do. Thank you for what you do for the kids, for the families, and the entire community, and ultimately our future. Thank you for the staff that went out their way to do things to help me regulate those kids. It's been a great blessing to be with you, and can't wait to see what next year looks like. So go Cougars and go Wildcats.
Hey everyone, it's Joanna Nowakowski. I'm a coach at Westland High School, I just wanted to say thank you so much for everything you've done this year to care for students and families. We've seen so much evidence during this pandemic that your community is willing to do what it takes for kids. It's been a pleasure to work with you this year, and I look forward to continuing our work together. Stay in touch over the summer, and I'll see you next time.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for taking time to watch that. We'll send that out in the email too for staff members who were not here to get to experience that as well. I realized while we were doing that apparently last time I said I was resharing my screen and you were seeing my slides, you were not. So I am going to try to reshare my screen, and somebody yell out to me if you can't see the slides in a second here, okay? And this is going to be real quick. And again, if you have to leave, that is totally okay. We will share this last part with you later. Okay. The problem is, here we go. Nope, not, nope. Okay. Can you see the slides?
You got it.
Perfect. Okay, so the last thing we wanted to talk about was our new Slack channel. So we have been trying to think of some creative ways to keep all of you, our education partners, in community with us, your coaches, but also with one another, because there's so much richness when you have a chance to collaborate. So that's the goal behind the Slack channel. And if you haven't used Slack before, it's pretty straightforward to use. You would just follow this link, which we'll also send in an email. You just put in your work email address. It'll ask you to confirm it. And then you'll be able to create your Slack account, just putting your name and creating a password. And then as soon as you do that and hit create account, you'll be into your Slack channel. And then Slack is organized by topic. So we'll have channels for different things like resources, questions you might have. And it's kind of a work in progress to decide what works best for us and for you. So as we're working in Slack, if you have ideas about how you'd like to see that organized, we're also really interested in hearing from you what you think would work best for you. But one thing that we are going to try to do is to provide some weekly opportunities to connect. So this might look like Mindfulness Mondays, Virtual Tools Tuesday, since we know we all are needing to have lots of opportunities to connect with our students virtually. Regulation Wednesdays, Thoughtful Thursdays, and Fulfilled Fridays. So thinking about just opportunities for you to share the things that are going on with you during the summer and stay connected to other educators around the city. That's the goal, and an opportunity for you to reach out to coaches in a different forum aside from just email. So if you're interested in that, we'd love to have you join us there. We'll also send a quick video tutorial how to join Slack in our follow-up email to this, this training. You're muted, Tamara, I think. Can't hear you.
There we go. Here's who we are again. And just to reiterate, we are here for you. We are here over the summer. We don't stop working. And so we are here for you during the summer. If you want to check in with us, if there's some planning that you want to help with, we're here to support you, and definitely here in the fall. So this is our team and the buildings that everyone is coaching at. So thank you again for joining us today. Here is the link for our feedback form. Please fill that out. It helps us to get better at what we do and also to make coaching meaningful. And so we want to make sure that we are relevant and providing you with the things that you need. So please take time to share your feedback, and we look forward to continue to working with you all. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
And those additional resources will come out in the email as well. So.
Yeah, thanks, Tamara. Thanks, Joanna. Appreciate everybody being here and connecting with us. We're going to send all of these resources out to those of you who registered and were with us today, as well as your coaches will have these and be forwarding them on to your teams. So please know that we are here to continue to support you. If this type of format is helpful for you, we can be structuring these for your building and for your teams as well. Thanks everyone for working hard this year. Big shout out to Joanna and Tamara for organizing and running this session today, and to the whole BBL team. Appreciate you all so much.
Thank you. I'm sorry that you have to work all summer, but we'll appreciate your hard work.
Thank you for that. Hey, connect with our coaches, make it meaningful.